We're going to take a look at sway, and we're going to take a look at forms. And I don't know, Raj, you want me to go real quick?
No, I don't want you to go real quick.
Well, yeah.
I want you to go first. How's that?
Okay, okay. All right. Anyhow, uh, sway. What is sway? Let me just go back here. Sway is a part of Office 365. And let me go in here. If you go into your Office 365, you will find sway over here. You can also, let me get rid of this, download sway as an app and put it on your computer. I like this because I can get at it a little more quickly. The online works just fine. Both work the same. They work together. I don't think there's more on the installed version than there is on the online version. And they both, and here's the big thing that you can remember, automatically save. You don't have to do a save. Okay? All right? Uh, anyhow, Sway, what is it? It's a presentation tool, app, and you might say, well, look, I've got PowerPoint. Why do I need Sway? Sway is so much easier, and someone once said that PowerPoints are for like group presentations, if you're doing a presentation in front of a group or an audience. But Sways are also really good for individual presentation, like if you just put it online and wanted somebody to look at it. And it's really good, and it does a lot of the work itself. Let me show you an example to get started, and then I'll show you how we do it. And it won't take long, believe me. Here's one I created and messed with called Old Fort Niagara. Why is it not opening? Okay, that's cute. That's cool. What's going on here now? We're having tech issues right away. Okay, well, we're going to, why am I doing this? This is not doing something. Let me go again here, folks. If I can get going. I don't know what's happening. There it is. Anyhow, when you open it, this is what it looks like when you're building a sway. They're built with cards, and they're cards of different kinds. We'll show you those. You'll see this says image card, this says text card, video card, okay? And it's really easy, okay? Image card, and there's even a bibliography at the end. So this is how it looks when you're creating it. Now, over on the right, you'll see a little button, okay? And it says play. If you click it, I have set it up, and you can set it up to present in different ways in a slide mode right now. And here is what it looks like. And down here is my control. Okay, a couple of pictures. Here's some text that I put in, and we're just going through it quickly. So you'll see this. This is a video, and I'll click here, and it will start the video that I linked. Okay, I'm just going to go on to the next slide, and you'll see that it's basically a pretty quick way of presenting a slide, a presentation. And it's really good because the students can now, let me just get out of here, create them and allow Sway to design them almost. Now, you'll notice up at the top, before it said play, now to get back into the edit mode, I'll just click here. Okay? That's all there is to it. Now, to create one is very, very simple. Let's go to Sway. This is my beginning screen. I'm just going to start with the new Create New. Okay, they put a title up here. Now, if you want, you can put a background in, and by clicking here, it'll open up slides that you can search for, online pictures, and generally it will use Creative Commons pictures that are allowed. So let's just try Fort Niagara. I just realized I don't have my glasses on. Can't see a thing. And hopefully there are some pictures. Okay, we'll just pick one, click Add, and it's in there. Okay, and then the person will just type in Fort Niagara. Okay, I'm going to close off just for the sake of getting rid of it, the pictures. Now we have our first one in place. You can accent it or emphasize, like if you Fort Niagara, you might want to emphasize it by clicking. That'll just make it stronger. Accent it kind of turns it sideways. Okay, and we'll talk about the focus point. That's something a little bit down the road in a little bit. But now you want to add another card. What kind of card do you want? Well, maybe we want a text card. Now it says add some text. Well, if you wish, you can add the text right in here, but just let me show you. A heading might give you this. Okay, maybe you want the history. Okay, all right, and now we click this and hit another text, and now we're going to enter some text in here. We could search for some information and add it in here. I'm just going to type. Okay, you could have gotten it on the internet from Wikipedia or whatever. That's what I believe it or not. Microsoft connects a lot to Wikipedia, and then cut and paste or however you want to type it in or whatever. Okay, real easy. At any time you can take a look at how this will play out by going up to the play. Oh, okay. Now notice that this is not in the slide mode. This is in the vertical mode now. Notice it has that. Okay, this can be changed, and we can show you how to change that in a minute. Now, if you want another image, you can just click here. Notice now it brings you back, because you've been there, it brings you back to your text. And if you want to put a caption, it's the, what do they call it, the castle?
The French castle, I think, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to type quickly. Well, I typed improperly. Well, there we go. Okay. Now, again, if you want to play it and view it, now you see. Now notice this is the vertical, and if you don't like this, see, it's doing it this way. If I had typed a lot of information, there would have been a lot of text here. And notice it says the castle at Fort Niagara that I typed in was over there. Go back to editing. This is really easy. Okay. Another thing. What if I want to add a video? Okay. Here's the way I kind of found the easiest way. Go to add a image card, and go up here and click on videos. Notice I have a whole bunch of videos because I had searched this before. Now, here it is. Here's a PBS. And if I want to add that, I just click that. Okay? And it's added. That's a video. Notice this image card, I may want to go back later, and if I need to, I can just delete it. And you can delete. You can also, notice how you have this. If you want to move the slides around, you can do that. Let's take a look here now what we have. We have this. We have the history. And whoops, I'm sliding down here. And there's our video right there. Again, really easy. Back to edit. I want to do a little design now. It's a little, okay? over on the left, we have the storyline. That's the way these cards flow. Or you can click on Design. Over here, when you click on Design, it looks like not much happens. But if you go over to Styles over here, the actually the program can take over and you can pick from any number. Notice this is the vertical style. This was the slide from before. If I want to put it back into the slide mode, I can do this. And again, that's totally up to you. You want to customize it with some colors. Okay. Now, that's a color. Okay. Or you can go in here and pick a color. Oh, I like that. Okay. So now my slides will look more organized with that style, with that palette. You can go in and change the fonts. There's a number of fonts you can go in and play with. Penton. Notice it's been changed over here. You can have text size. You can make it larger if you want. Okay. And it's made it larger. Okay. And then you can do that. Right up here is a remix. If you're not sure what you want, start clicking on remix and it'll just select a style. You can look at it. If you don't like it, you hit remix again. Okay. But that's, again, the program about does it for you. And when you're done, you can go back to the storyline. And now let's play it and see if it's changed. You'll notice now we do have that green. Okay, there's the history. And there's the information slide where I would put in all my information. Boing, boing, wow. That is weird. I may not like that, so I would go in and change that. Okay? So that's how, basically, how you create a sway. You can do it very easily by, let me click on the edit. Okay, there we are. Adding cards, selecting the type of cards. Oh, the one that I wanted to show you is called a stack. Okay? A stack is kind of a place like if you have a lot of pictures. Let me grab some pictures here. 6, 7, 8. I'm going to hit add. Okay, I hope that worked. Okay, we're going to find out. Oh, that's interesting. It looked like it added them as image cards. Should have added them as a stack. Well, oh no, it says group stack. Okay, let's just play it because you get one card for each image. Okay. Well, why are we not getting us? Come on, play. Let's go back to my sways. You'll see that it has been saved, so we can start it again. There it is. Now let's see what happens if we start it. There it is. There's that. I wanted to show you the stack if I could. Now see, there's a stack. Okay, if you have a lot of pictures, you can do that, and you can click on the stack to go through the pictures. If you like a picture, you can click on it and view it that way. You can view this, the stack. So if you wanted to put in a number of pictures, you could do it that way as well. Oops. Let me go back. My mouse is going crazy here. It's my mouse that's doing this. I'm sorry. Okay. My mouse is giving me problems, and I do apologize. Okay, but anyhow, Fort Niagara. Now, let me go back to the edit. When you're done, it automatically saves. And basically that's all there is to it. You can learn, with that little bit of information, you can probably learn how to do a sway and play with it yourself. Just a couple of quick things. If you click on this, it'll take you back to your home page, and they're automatically saved. You'll see I have 2 Fort Niagaras now. This one was the one we were just working on. Now, as an assignment, what if you want to do have your kids do some research? Why not create an outline for a sway, first of all, and let them fill it in? Here's one for a pretty simple little thing, okay? Name your animal and put a picture of your animal here. Kids can do that. I just put, where does your animal normally live? They can do a little research, type it in. 5 interesting facts. How big is your animal? Okay, I'm just putting some things. This would be kind of like a guideline, and all they have to do is fill it in. They'd have their own sway. They can put pictures in. And with showing them there, you can show them how to put in an image. Pretty simple, okay? That's a really easy way of doing some research. Now, having said that, and lastly, if you, and this is probably, again, Raj, I think for the little bit higher grades, in the middle here, you'll see a thing that says start from a topic. I'm going to click that, and it will actually create an outline for you. Now, I'm going to type in Niagara Falls, mainly because I've done it before and have some nodding acquaintance with it. It will create an outline that a student could follow. Okay, Niagara Falls, you can put in it, go in here. Here is some information. Here's a text card that they put in. Notice the little 2, okay? That little 2 shows you that it's taken from Wikipedia, and you can go to Wikipedia. Why is it not going there? And it will show you some of the information. See, it puts in a little bit of the information, the history. So the students could actually work on it and get an outline, okay? And they can go in and take out any of the ones that they don't want. It's a great little tool, and I just wanted to show you this very quickly because I don't want to take all of the times from Forms. But
Gene, can you scroll all the way to the bottom?
Certainly. This.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So if you click on the 2 there.
Yeah, you can click here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not doing it, and I don't know why. You know what? Okay, there we go. All right. Yes. And also, when you... you want to donate something? Okay. When you copy and paste, you can create, let's see if, boy, how in the world did I do this? It will allow you to, when you copy and go to paste it, it asks you if you want to put something in the bibliography, and it will build the bibliography automatically. The kids don't have to do this. This was created by Sway. Okay? I don't know. Hang on one second. Let's see if I don't want a JPEG. These are all JPEGs. I wanted some information. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't have the okay. Boy, I'm having trouble getting there. See, it's just doing the pictures right now. But if you copied something, Control C, let's get back here. And then I think generally it will ask you if you want to link it, okay? Oh no, that's a hyperlink. But it will ask you if you want to put
if you hit that
reference.
plus button.
It's not, I'm having a little issue here with this right now. My mouse is, I think, running out of speed. It's running out of battery, and I'm having some issues. But yeah, it actually, it will do these little footnotes automatically. Oh, maybe it is a link. I don't know if it's a link. Okay, maybe it was a link. Yeah, and then it will ask you if you want to do that. Okay, but anyhow, it is a terrific tool. I don't want to take too much more time. You can find on YouTube many videos on using it. The only caveat I might offer is that Sway has been upgraded and the view is a little different. And most of the videos that you'll find have the old version of Sway in it, with the cards on the left-hand side, and you have to drag them in. It's been updated and it's a lot better. So if you do go to like YouTube, Microsoft's channel on YouTube, you can find the newer ones and try to get ones that had been posted in 1918. Yeah, 1918. Yeah, the year after I was born. Okay, but anyhow, this year. And with that, Raj, I am going to.
So you're not going to mention the start from a document?
Oh, well, yeah, the start from a document basically, well, we can do that. Asks you to load a document. I don't even know if I have one real quick. Okay, I do have one way down here, if I can find it. Okay. Okay, there it is. See, it's called The Chaser. It's a short story. Boy, that really didn't look good. I don't know what's happened here, Raj. Oh yeah, there it is. Notice, there's the short story. Boy, it doesn't look real good there, does it? But you can then go in and add questions or images, or kids can go in and outline, so forth, and edit it. It's another thing. Is that what you were looking for, Raj?
Well, just we talk about the three different ways to start a sway.
Oh, sure.
From that outline, which I think is probably the one that would get a lot of play. But again, if starting from a document, where do you want to start from? Mm-hmm. Build it brand new. Mm-hmm. Let the program suggest an outline is just showed there, and from an actual
if you're
information.
If you have like a short story in there, ask a question where the students can go in and either respond visually or verbally by adding a new card, and they can do all kinds of good things that way. But anyway, it's a great little tool, and it's very, very simple to use, and it's becoming more and more popular in schools. And okay, and with that, if you want to go back, Raj is now. I think.
Does anybody have any quick questions?
Yeah,
quickly raise your hand. You want to ask
what we can do? Let me say this: if any of you might be interested in doing an after-school study group for 2 hours, we could go over to 109, and we could do some hands-on, and we could create some sways there. All you need to do is let us, drop us an email or something. I don't think there's a question in the thank you survey about that, and I'm not even sure there's a survey on it, to be honest with you. But be glad to, if there's some interest in that, maybe we could run some of those, or And I think, Raj, the same would go with Forms. Is that not correct?
Oh, yes. Quite simply easy. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If anybody's interested, let us know. And with that, sharing. I think we've got to click on that. Boy. You should have, oh, there you are. You have the screen. I think I'm seeing your screen. Yes, we are seeing your screen. We're good.
Okay, well, we're going to just a couple of follow-up comments regarding, okay, Sway is a presentation tool. If you're at all familiar with PowerPoint, you would notice a dramatic difference just as a tool itself. With, how it's organized from PowerPoint with the ribbon at the top and all of the various options, transitions.
It's so much simpler, and students can pick it up so much quicker if you want to use it with kids.
It's real quick, and it's real polished too when you get out of it. I know kids love PowerPoint, and I think in the upper grades there's probably maybe a little bit more of an emphasis on using some of the things with PowerPoint, and that just depends on its individual or particular purpose and use at that time. But to get something out there real quick, the idea of starting from or suggesting a topic. We were working in a class last year, believe it or not, with second graders, and they get a Scholastic newsletter or reader, I think periodically, maybe once a week, and it's always topical. It's got a theme and something. But anyway, the teacher quickly said, "All right, let's go to Sway." Everybody, I think this particular Scholastic reader episode talked about some different animals and habitats and things like that. So he allowed the students to pick one that they had some kind of an interest in or a favorite or something like that, and just quickly built a Sway in one class period. Well, they don't have class periods, but in roughly one 40 to 45 minute session, pretty much every kid had their own Sway and was able to share it, because we were doing this in the Office format in OneNote, and share it among themselves very quickly. And each of them became kind of an expert, if you want to say, on their particular topic or animal that they picked. So it's really cool. I think it's got a tremendous possibility. And I like I think, Gene, I hope this is kind of old school, but when you were teaching at the community college with the research paper, and how many hours did we now in retrospect waste
trying to teach MLA and APA and
all of that, the format and the indent and the spacing,
that.
And why not just use a tool that does it for you?
Sure.
How much of an expert do you have to be, or do they want you to be on that? Now, maybe times are changing from the university perspective on this or not, but I would think it's more about being correct than knowing to indent an inch from this side and a half inch, that kind of underline this versus that. I just think it takes that out of the equation. It takes, I think, certainly with this, plagiarism might not be an issue anymore, because every source of information is automatically cited. And I like it for that aspect of it as well.
Very good.
So onward and upward, we're talking about another easy tool. We're in our Office 365. I notice this one didn't give me, say, good afternoon, Roger.
I think they've taken that away. I've noticed that. It feels very impersonal.
Don't like that. But anyway, here is my Office 365 suite. Yours would look somewhat similar with the arrangement of the different apps and so on. The one we're going to talk about is, here's right down next to Sway, is Forms. So we're going in through the Office 365, and you'll notice that it's a similar presentation with sway. You had sway up here, and then listed down here were all the various sways that you had created or worked with in your account and so on. The same is true when working with forms. Any form that you create is automatically saved. Now, these are forms I was messing around with today, and then it goes down deep into the history of all the forms you may have created. Now, I'm suspecting that you might get more use out of this if you buy into it and use it as some form, no pun intended, of assessment tool. You can use a form if you're starting off a topic, kind of, okay, what do you know about a given topic before you start a new lesson or a unit? And moving along that way, you can throw out a quick form or and gather some information on what your students may already know about the new subject. You can use it along the way for some quick formative assessments, an exit ticket. If you use that term and employ that strategy in your classrooms, an exit ticket at the end of the lesson to show what was learned that day, or perhaps what wasn't learned, depending on how you construct it and so on. It could use it for a number of persons, a number of different reasons. Notice here you have two options: create a new form or a quiz. Now, when you first jump into this, you're going to say, well, what is basically the difference? They look very much the same when you start working with them, and I'll quickly show you what the difference is. I think quite logically, if you're working with a quiz, you're asking opposing questions for which there will be right or wrong answers. Within that framework, you can assign point values and do it as a quiz, as a grading procedure. That's what you get when you work with a quiz. When you work with a form, think of a form as maybe a survey. You're just gathering information. There's no right or wrong. You just want to know a response. Do they like this? Yes, no, and so on. And there, within each of these, you have quite a lot of a good number of options on how to construct each of those. So let's say we're looking at a new form. I'm going to take you to this one that I just quickly started with. And we've used these, Gene and I, over the last year for different workshops that we've done, different training things, and so on. Notice underneath each form or each survey, you have some information that tells you whether or not there were responses. If it was a quiz, how many students have taken the quiz? If you have 20 kids in your class, this would tell you whether or not all 20 had responded to the quiz. So it's a quick bit of check on some information there. This was a survey. This one had 10 responses. I'm going to take you back and show you what those responses look like. But this is a quick visual. When you go into your online tool, your Office 365, go into Form, you can see what was going on here. You can also, in constructing it, say you want notification for when a quiz has been submitted, and those would show up as a message. So let's start with forms. I'm going to click on, this is an untitled form, and I'll show you what it looks like. That's what you always start with. Now, notice these are tabs up here, and then much like you were working with in Sway, you can preview once you've constructed a couple of questions, and you can change the theme, you can share it out, and there are some settings as well that you have control over how you want to design it. But to kind of simplify this, this is a form. Again, think of survey, and I want to add a question to the survey. I click on the little plus, and it asks me then, what kind of a question do you want here in this particular form. And you can mix and match them all over the place. One of the ones I created, I tried to show you what the different types of questions look like when they are presented. You can have the, probably the most popular, you can have a multiple choice question. You can have a free response question, and this option allows you to either have a short response or a little longer response. You can rate a question, and it has it like this, how many stars. I can say, I can rate a movie. Any number, and you can control, okay, how many levels of rating do you want? I want 5. You can go all the way up to 10 if you like. So there's a 10-star rating. What kind of a symbol do you? I want stars or I just want numbers. You've seen these before, probably on surveys that you've taken from time to time. So you would pop in the question here, depending on what information you're looking at. Again, I'll show you some examples of that. You can make this question required. It cannot be submitted. You cannot complete this form, this survey, unless a required question had a response. You can also use some labels and some subtitles for any of these as well. And of course, I don't like that question. I can get rid of it and I can start over again. And then once you have a couple of questions, you can move it up and down. And then one of the things you can do, if it's when we start talking about quizzes, is you can randomize the presentation of the quiz questions so that person to your right and left, if you're in a classroom, would be looking at a different question than you at any particular time. You can also dress up a question by inserting a graphic, and I'll show you an example of that. Depending on what you're doing, it might be a graphic. If it's a math question, you might put a graph in there, and your question is based on that graph. Any number of reasons to include a visual with that as well. Much like you can do in Sway, you can have a theme for the entire form. You can add your own, or you can pick a background. Notice this shades the borders, the background information. Or if I can put in a graphic background, or even add my own, if you like. Okay. So you add a question here. You add a question here. Notice we had rating. There is another type of, a couple of more types of questions. That's what the three-dot ellipsis says. Well, what other type of question might you have? You can do a ranking. And I'll show you an example of that. This ranking means you would click on a response and drag it up or down in a list. The Likert scale, you've seen questions like this, and all of this is where you would edit your information. Put your statement here. How likely are you to shop on this website again, or recommend this website? Not likely, likely, very likely, guarantee, kind of different responses there to each of these statements. Kind of a neat idea there. So probably most forms that you've come in contact with in your professional life and your adult life, you can recreate that kind of a response here as well. The last, let's see if we can add another type of question here. I kind of like this one was a net promoter score. This is, I think, relatively new. This builds in how likely are you to recommend to a friend or a colleague. And this end of the scale, not likely and extremely likely, and so on. So you have a number of options with building your form here. Let's go back here, and we're going to talk about quizzes. Quiz is a little different. You're going to notice the interface, that looks just the same, doesn't it? But if I choose a multiple choice question, what different occurs now is over here on the options, when you ask a multiple choice question, and you can have pretty much any number of choices. I don't see very many multiple choice questions with only two. You may have true or false, or you might have yes, no, maybe questions, or a number of answers. A number of questions may have a number of distractors. The difference being, you would indicate that one of these, by clicking on the check mark, is the correct answer. This little bubble here is, and this is more useful probably for giving some quick feedback. This says I can give a hint, or if this is the correct answer, I can say something here, message, great, you got it on the first try, or good for you. Or if it's an incorrect answer, like down here, down in here, let's go. If it's an incorrect answer, you might say something like, try again, or give a hint to the correct answer. So you have a lot of options there. You can also here, notice this is different because we're working on a quiz. You can give this question, and any number of questions, a point value. So if you're going to design a 10-question quiz, you make each one worth 10 points. And at the end, when it's all done, students have taken it, students would get a grade. Another nice option here, see if it's available here, and we'll go look at a quiz. I got to move my thing out of the way here so I can see that, Gene. There's our sliding.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of things in with settings. For this quiz, let's assume you're making it for students in a classroom, whatever subject area. You can have by yes or no, clicking on or off. You can show the results automatically when there's a submission. So I'll tell them what the right answer is. I'll give them that feedback right away as they move through the quiz. Who can take the quiz? Now this gets into say maybe some record keeping. Anyone with the link, and when we go up to, I'll show you where the share is, anyone with the link can take the quiz. Or, if I click on this radio button here, notice no other options are given to me. Anybody who has the link can take this quiz. And we would share out that link either on in an email perhaps, or on a website, and then they would be taken directly to it. And then anyone with the link can take it. They're all anonymous. Well, if you're working in a classroom, you don't want anonymous submissions to a quiz. So you make sure that you click on people in the organization can respond. Students in your classroom are in your organization. They're already signed in to Microsoft Forms. It will then record the name and allow them to either make more than one response if you allow that. If it's a quiz, you're probably only going to allow one response per person. You're going to record the name of the person submitting that response. This is how you're, obviously, if you're doing it for grading purposes. Various options. You can accept responses. You can also set a start and end date for this quiz. If it's something you're building towards at the end of the week, you can have that Friday's date. They can't even take the quiz until Friday. And you can also end it. Let's say it's something they're doing, maybe give them an option to do something at home. You can have an end date for the quiz. And then down here is something that we find very useful since we've had software that can, test banks and things. You can shuffle the questions, And this says email notification of each response. That would be to you as the creator. You would get an email as each kid. Now this is going to bulk. I probably don't recommend that. Maybe try it once, see what it looks like. But you would get a notification via email for each completed quiz. And then you can also customize a thank you message. The thank you message would be, as a student completes and submits their quiz or their form, if you're talking about a form, you can give them a quick thanks for doing it. We'll talk about this in class or something of that nature. So you have, again, a nice bit of control here for creating quizzes. Let's go back and talk about the sharing options. Here is where you have some other choices to make. You can copy the link and post that into a message, put it on your class webpage if you have one of those. You can also create a QR code. You can also embed the quiz onto your web page. Now, this also works if you're working in Microsoft Teams, as many of you eventually will, and more people are using Microsoft Teams and class notebooks and so on. This is where the quiz can be embedded. Probably not so much the QR code. That's nice. Probably, you need a QR reader, which would be your a smartphone and so on. So, but not likely in a classroom, or it could actually be emailed out. If you're working with another teacher, you can duplicate this quiz, send it. Maybe you're working with in a team atmosphere, and so that could be shared. And you can also share this out to collaborate. If you want to say, let's build it together. We're going to start to see more of this in action, I'm pretty sure, when we get more people using Microsoft Office and Teams and Class Notebook and so on. So we've got our options again, how you want to share it, link, a QR code, an embed code, again, and whichever one you click on, then you click the copy button and it produces a code for that. And again, the options on your settings on how you want to create and manage the quiz itself. There's another interesting option here. We haven't talked a lot about it. You might have noticed it up here. It's called branching. Branching it has some very interesting possibilities. One big one, of course, it's kind of maybe a little bit more of a heavy lift, but the choose your own adventure stories, where somebody's off on an adventure and they come to a fork in the road and they go to the right, they go to the left, they cross the bridge, they climb the mountain. You can build a story, and if they pick option 1, then they would go to the next question. Or if we need more questions here, but you could build a number of options throughout the quiz itself, and through the form itself, for branching and having a whole bunch of decision making going on. It's kind of fun. I played around with it. I took some children's stories. I created some branching decisions, like with Goldilocks or things of that nature. But kids could also create their own forms because they get that whole suite themselves, so they could manage that as well. I want to go back here. We're going to go back into our forms, and we looked at the quiz. And again, the big difference is a quiz has right and wrong answers, point values, and a number of other options. A form is basically, think of that as terms of a poll or a survey. Another difference here is, notice, another ellipse. If you want to make use of something like Gene was talking about, and loosely something like it, where you could let Sway suggest some things to you for a topic or a story. This more options lets you use some built-in to Microsoft this way, some educational resources for creating a quiz. This is not very robust yet. My new favorite word.
I was waiting for you to say that.
How to say it nicely. Find lesson plans, assignments, and more. More being, predetermined or pre-designed quizzes, and test, formative assessments, and so on. So you can pick a grade level, and you can pick a standard. The standard is, I'm going to back out of these shortly, but okay, look, your local standards, your New York State Learning Standards and Core Curriculum. Okay, let's pick that. Okay, that's already been selected. Let's pick an area of a curriculum area. I'll say language arts. So I'm going to pick language arts. Now I got language arts. Let's talk about reading standards, responding to literature, a range of reading, craft and structure, key ideas. I would think there might be one there. Okay, now notice it brought up the specific Common Core standard. Now I'm going to say search. It didn't happen. I wanted to get these. If you just search blindly, I was narrowing it down. There are actually 640 different results for different lessons already prescribed areas of study related to the standards. And they also deal with math. This looks like it's mostly reading language arts. There's some of the meanings. Here we go. Some meanings of a fraction. There are some math standards in this as well. Let's just quickly pick the first one. Recalling information and gathering information from provided sources. And if I say get this, and you can collect them. I say add to a collection. You can preserve these on your account for maybe further use later, or you're building a unit, or there's some you want to keep and refer to. But I say I want to get that. Let's see what happens. Let's see what I get. I'm going to go to the self-checkout line here. Here are the questions. These can be edited just like a quiz that you make yourself. And notice there are some answers already. If we go into the edit here, notice it looks just like it would if we were constructing it ourselves. We're in the edit mode. This is the correct answer, and so on. Okay. And here is the entire quiz, and then you can adapt that. Some of these come with reading passages already, and you can dress it up if you want. You can change the theme, make it pretty for your students. Go back into Forms, and then you're going to save it in your collection here. I want to show you. Let's pick one that has some. Here we go. Early in the school year, I did a workshop for the math teachers at Niagara Falls High School. And just to get started, it was a twofold purpose. We wanted to gather some information and show them this tool that they could use themselves. And we got 16 responses, and this is the survey itself. It talks about technology integration, basically. It's kind of a basic information we want to know when we're talking about tech integration and so on. But there were 16 of the 20-some teachers who took this. Maybe that was how many I had. I think that's how many math teachers are at the high school. So I clicked on responses. There were 16 responses. Now this breaks down for me those responses to each of the questions. How frequently do you use technology in your classroom? Well, notice here as I cursor over the response, it says, okay, moderately once or twice a week, on average, and so on. Notice that the nice, convenient, easy to understand pie charts. If I want more details, if this was given to some students and required a sign-in, their names would appear in the name column. This was done without that requirement, so they're all anonymous. But this shows what this person responded, etc., all the way through. But you could see, I would imagine, that if you're breaking this down with, say, in the subject area, maybe some math, a particular concept, you would know who got the right answers, who maybe got the number one distractor, do some of that examination, item analysis, I guess you call it, for all the way through. But here, this is what the results look like. If this was a graded quiz, I would have the option then to finalize those grades, and they would put them up on a screen. I don't think I have an example of that. Another nice feature for all of these forms, whether it's a quiz or a form, is that the entire thing can be managed in Excel. If you're familiar with Excel, you'll know that it can do a lot of item analysis. It can do a lot of math, variabilities, and all kinds of things. So if you open it up in Excel, you can work with the different columns and get some printouts that way as well. Let's go back into Forms. I don't know if I actually had a quiz. I think I did. Oh, let's see. I pulled this up for today. Didn't do it. Let me correct the date here. Let's say we're previewing this. This is maybe social studies, the capital of New York State. Okay, Albany. So this is a true/false. This is that same question. Capital city is, and you'd have to include, type in the answer. Pick on the map here. Enter. Just type it in here. This was the capital, and okay, which one's correct here? Here is a short answer. They'd have to type it in, and so on there. And you can dress it up. I just simply went out and got some images to dress up the question from 1 to 10 stars. Here we go. How do you rate the school lunches? It might be a little dangerous. I don't know. Well, let's assume it's all 8, 9, or 10. This is that question with the going the up or down. Arrange the Harry Potter books in the order in which they were written, and you just simply drag this up, drag them into the order, and then a precise order was determined when I formed the question, so they would get points based on their responses there. Another type of question, second president of the United States, who was the second vice president of the United States, multiple choice, and so on. Gene, we're over by a minute.
I noticed that, but you were so interested.
I was fascinating to myself, so
I didn't want to stop you.
Well, I really have come to the end of it.
Okay.
Just to say, you have this tool, play with it. It's fairly intuitive. There are actually tutorials, information online that you can find and get some ideas. But again, it's very straightforward. And we get back to us, we'll show you how to share that out with your students, and then you can embed it, you can push it out in a notebook and so on. So that's kind of all I have for that right now.
Well, again, to sum it up, if you have any questions, please send us an email. If you are interested in a study group or anything like that, let us know, and would be very glad to hear from you. With that, we'll say, have a nice evening.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and maybe we'll see you in Sunday night's webinar. Who knows?
That sounds good, too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.